My name's Allison, and I curate experiences at Kudos. And today, our guest, Andrew, comes from the world of design, packaging in particular. Hello, Andrew.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Okay. Let me share my screen here. Is this showing for everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, hi, everyone. I'm Andrew. I am a packaging designer in Vancouver here. And I work with various companies such as MEC, Lululemon, doing packaging design. So before I get to what is packaging design, I thought I would show you guys some of the projects that I have worked on, so you guys can kind of see what kind of stuff that I do. So on the screen, you will see this is an engagement ring case. This is a flat engagement ring case that helps people to hide the rings during a proposal. So unlike a traditional ring box that's very bulky and big, this packaging design makes it so that it's very slim. It's about 1 centimeter thick. And when you open it, it has this pop-up mechanism so that kind of presents the ring a certain way. So this is one of the projects that I've worked on many years ago. And then recently I helped MEC revamp all their packaging for their products. So this includes all the hang tags, all the gloves, all sorts of different stuff. So one of my favorite design from this revamp was a gloves packaging. So I don't know if you guys have bought any gloves in the past, but most of the time the gloves, you want to try them on. And the packaging is stuck to this hanger card. And so most of the time you are in this handcuffed position when you are trying them on. And it's a very weird experience, a very awkward and difficult thing to do. So I designed this packaging that kind of fans out. So it gives you a bit of motion. Let me see if I have I don't have a video, but the difference, I don't know if you guys can see here in this image. When it fans out, then your hands can actually be in a much wider position. Let me see if I can find one to show you guys. Here we go. So it kind of works like this.
Ah.
Yeah. So traditionally, you kind of have to do this. And now I can do this. And I can put one on each side.
Very neat.
Yeah, so this is kind of the stuff that I work on. The two companies that I worked at previous to freelancing, they were very difficult places to be in as a designer. I found that they didn't value design. A lot of the times I found that anyone that can do Photoshop or Illustrator can do my job. And I didn't feel like what I've gone through school to do was I'm not using any of the stuff that I've learned at school. So when I was working on that freelance project, I was actually able to use what I have learned from school and to do what I'm really good at. So these two reasons mainly made me want to freelance and be independent. So if you look at this graphic is meant to be fun, but it is also kind of true. What I learned from school is to be great at what I do. I think the school really challenged me and pushes me to be unique in my design, pushes me to always strive for the best. And versus when I was working at these companies, I felt like they were looking for the fast and cheap. This is usually what the company that I was working at was looking for. Yeah. And so when I'm working on my own design now, as an independent person, what I'm trying to offer my clients is great, because I found that now that I am my own designer, my own boss, I want to make sure that I'm giving someone a great design. So packaging design is kind of like, let's see. There's two sides to it. There is the structural packaging. So when you buy something, it comes in a box. So that's the structural packaging, where how can we fold this paper and so that it can house a product. And then obviously there is also the graphic design on the packaging. There's the logo, there's the color. What this does is try to give you this kind of emotion. So when these two things are combined, that's what packaging design is about. And then what I think about packaging design, when my friends ask me, I describe it as a presentation. So, for example, when you go to the store to get something, most of the time before you actually try the product, you are engaging with the packaging first. So how do I design this box or this bag to present the product as best as possible? That is what I think about most of the time. When you buy this product, when it's received, whether it's shipped to you or you bought it home, when you open it, that's also another presentation itself. Like, how is this product placed in this box? How is that experience of opening this box? That's also a presentation.
And I know before you talked to me a little bit about how packaging is about the magic of movement for you. So I think when I things layered together, I kind of think of a Christmas gift, about what, like you're saying, what you see first that creates emotion, like when we're excited and things like that.
Yeah. So kind of like the first project that I showed you guys, there is this pop-up mechanism that I use. I like to combine these two different disciplines together, just to create some sort of delight. Maybe I should share the pop-up card with you guys to see.
That sounds great.
So then you can kind of see something else. This is I made this for a friend, and as I was designing, I thought, okay, this is pretty interesting to see. So I decided to add it to my portfolio. So I know everybody is quarantined right now, and everybody wants to be outside, everybody wants to be traveling, and I last year, 2 years ago, I went to Hawaii, and I really, really miss Hawaii. So when I was designing this card, I thought about the places I would want to go as I'm looking out the window. So I made this card kind of like, okay, if you open this window, then you kind of see Hawaii. Yeah. Yeah, I can also show you guys some of the design process. So if you're on the screen, you can kind of see a better picture of this card. Okay, let me see. So when I was designing the card, what actually happened was I actually I was researching through different mechanisms and how I can use them in my own designs. And one of the things that I've seen in a pop-up book that I have bought was this pop-up mechanism that I thought was quite interesting. So what I did was, okay, I saw the mechanism, I remade it myself. I figured out how this mechanism would work. And then added my own designs on top of it. How would I reinterpret this design?
Incredible. We have a question from Joe asking, where did you learn most of the skills needed to focus on the structural design?
I think it's a combination of self-taught and school. Our school wasn't very paper heavy in terms of the teaching. They didn't teach us how to do the structural design of it. So I taught a lot of the technicality of it myself. I just looked through different packaging designs, and I learned on the job. Or the other thing that I like to do a lot, which I learn a lot by, is doing these weird mock-ups, like this very ugly mock-ups myself, just trial and error. That's how I would say that's how I design. It's just a lot of trial and error. And then eventually, I think as you do this more and more and more and more, then eventually you will kind of understand how to do it.
And Joe also wants to know, how do you research mechanisms?
Yeah. I have something to show you guys for that as well. So what I would do is I would buy these pop-up books. If you can see on your screen. And what I would do is I will try to learn about these mechanisms through these existing designs. So essentially, I'm trying to copy them. But obviously, we cannot copy their designs exactly. So what I would do is learn how these mechanisms would pop out.
See, Deanna has something she wants to share. Go ahead, Deanna.
Yeah.
Sorry, Allison. How long did it take you to make those, Andrew? Or is that hard to make?
Like this pop-up card, this one took me about a month.
Oh,
So
wow.
yes, I know. But what happened was, who would want to spend a month on a card? That's just insane. I never do that either. But what happened was, I started working on the pop-up card, and then I found something that was quite interesting and unique. And because I'm a designer, I'm an independent designer, I'm always looking to add projects into my portfolio to show other people what I can do. So that's the only reason why this would take this long, because I want to put something good in my portfolio. So 1 month of designing this, trying out different mechanisms, and making this card itself is actually very quick once I know how to make it and the design, everything is set. So a portfolio is kind of like a resume, but for designers, artists. So when because people need to see what you can do. And so I would have these images in my website to show my clients or people that are interested in my services what kind of stuff I can do. And you want to put your best work in there, because what people see there is representative of what you can do. So back to that question about why I would spend a month on this card, is because if I want to put a card into my portfolio, it needs to be quality stuff. Uh, Otherwise, I would never spend a month on a car. That's crazy.
And kind of going back into your research and where all this juicy ideas and inspiration comes from, I know you were showing us Gods and Heroes, that amazing pop-up book
Mm-hmm.
that you were sharing. So how do you transform, you're saying that, you can't just rip off somebody else's mechanism, your
Yeah,
movement, and putting it in a part of your own story.
yeah. So for me, I also learn a lot when I'm copying other people. And something that I have noticed as I'm doing that is it's very rare that I can copy exactly what they do. So whenever I am learning through copying other people's stuff I'm adding my own stuff into it. So kind of like when you are cooking, when you are making a recipe, it's very rare that you would make your own your version of fried rice completely new. Like there are tons of different fried rice recipes out there. And how do you learn to make fried rices? You learned it from your parents, maybe. They passed on a recipe to you. And as you remake them over and over again, you realize, oh, I'm going to add something else into it. And it becomes something new. So very similar idea to design. I take these existing stuff, I learn how the structure works, and I turn it into something that's my own. As a designer, you never want to copy someone's design completely. That's bad practice. But this is a way to learn. I think I will use it as a method of learning, not a practice methodology, but more of a learning methodology.
And Janie wants to know, how do you move from a prototype to production? For example, this pop-up car or anything that you made like a self-initiated project, how does it go into production?
So that is another big portion of the work that I do, is how can I make this design into a mass producible product. And that has to do a lot with during the design, how many components are there? Can we, such as the pop-up card that I showed you guys, this can the factories that produce these products actually assemble these correctly? So taking something like such as this pop-up card and mass produce it is quite another complex design project kind of. In the industry, we call it development. So there is design and there is development, and development can sometimes take as much time as the design part. So I took a month to design this pop-up card. It may take me a month to develop it, to get it to be producible. I won't go into the detail because it's a very complex, very boring process. Yeah. The most fun is definitely the design. And like the video that I showed you guys, this is my favorite part, the learning part, like figuring out how this mechanism works. This is my favorite part. And a lot of the times, once I have figured it out, then I kind of lose momentum. So I really need to kind of encourage myself to continue. So yeah, I have heard each designer have a part that they enjoy the most. And I find that I'm someone that enjoys the most in this beginning phase.
And I see Saphir, a big smile from the movement of the mechanism, and I believe he has something he wants to share with you.
Oh yeah, please.
So my question is that I was talking to Nam Samasalu that my question is that how do you make that? That's
How
really
do I
cool.
make this?
Thinking about it today.
How do I make this?
Yeah, I think when you for the thing, that's really cool.
I actually no longer have this little prototype anymore.
Okay.
But otherwise, I will show you because it would be very difficult for me to explain with my hands how they would work. But if you are interested in learning how to do pop-ups, there are some YouTube videos that you can find. They will
Okay,
teach
I
you
would do
some
that, but
interesting mechanisms. So this is the inspiration from the book, the pop-up book. Okay, if I can do this one-handed. So what they have here is like an animation reel. Okay, let me see if I can do this one-handed. Yes, I managed. Yeah.
Can everyone see it?
I'll do it
yes,
again.
again.
Nice.
If you have never done pop-up books, then it is a little bit difficult to kind of just figure it out by watching it. But I think I have had enough experiences working on pop-up books that when I look at it, I can kind of figure it out. But like I said before, it is also through trial and error. So it's not like I saw this pop-up book and immediately I knew how it was made. I have to make multiple of this prototype to make sure that it would actually work. So I probably in the end made about maybe 7 or 8 of these. So maybe 7 or 8 different attempts until I realized, oh, okay, this is how it works. This transition is smooth. This movement is smooth. So I would suggest you going online. There are many resources that's free you can find on YouTube or whatever sites. Maybe search pop-up book mechanisms, and a lot of the times there are tutorials or there are paper cutouts that you can find and you can make them yourself. And a note of maybe a suggestion is to start easy. So something like the pop-up book the pop-up card that I made is very complex. So maybe look for something that's a bit simpler, figure out the easy part, and then try different ones, a bit more difficult ones as you learn.
And I think, like you're saying, what could really help is kind of like a template or kind of like a sample. And I know you have your beautiful pop-up books. And maybe somebody would like to buy or borrow their own. If you buy it, then you can cut it apart.
True. I would love to cut all these out, but then at the same time, this book is just too impressive that I'm not going to do that just yet. So this is the first page.
Have you guys ever seen a pop-up book like this?
I know this is just too good, right? I wish I'm this good.
Can you hold it a little closer to the camera so we can see some detail? That's absolutely incredible. Would this fall under structure design as well?
Yeah, this will fall under structural design. It is a bit more of a niche in structural design packaging. There are specific artists that only do pop-up books, actually. So they don't necessarily do packaging design, but they do pop-up books.
Wow, what is that?
I think it's a volcano.
Oh. And I have a question from Joe asking, do you include your process in your portfolio, or do clients just care about the end results?
I have a question. What kind? So give me an example of what do you pack?
What kind of things do you pack?
Okay. I don't really limit myself in terms of what kind of packagings I do, because I find that being a packaging designer is already very niche. If I even limit myself, let's say I only do apparel packaging, then my clients become very limited. So I kind of try to engage as many different sectors as possible. So I've worked in the food industry, I've worked in the apparel industry, the medical industry. Probably one thing is I don't really use a lot of plastic in my practice. So if I can get away with not using plastic, that's what I would do. So there are certainly some industries that relies heavily on plastics, and they usually would not require my services, because if they look at my portfolio and they will see, oh, Andrew doesn't do very much plastic packaging, he probably can't do it.
I also see JC has an excellent question. At what point do you bring back your ideas to present to the client? Is low fidelity pen and pencil sketches, or paper mock-up, or digital graphics?
Good question. I find that clients have a hard time imagining something that is lo-fi. So when I present, things are always like the client doesn't need to imagine anymore. What I have found in the past is I have also used lo-fi like sketches or very ugly prototypes to show them. And the client very quickly fixate on all these imperfections in the images, and they will tell me, this is not good, try again. What did you do? So early in my freelancing career, I quickly realized that when I present, images are so important. Yeah, so always get it to as high quality as possible. Obviously, don't fixate on the little details, because they're not going to really care about the little details. They want to see overall this image. Is it clear? Is it beautiful?
And I know we only have you for another 9 minutes, and I see some excellent questions in the chat. So I'm going to rapid fire them at you.
Okay.
I have a question from Tamsin asking, do you have patents for your design?
I don't have patents for my design, because I have looked into it. Many people have asked me to especially patent the ring case, and it just doesn't make sense for an individual to do it. I find that it is more appropriate for a big corporation to do it. And the reason being, if somebody infringes on your patent, you have to be the one that files that lawsuit. So let's say a big corporation copied my design. I, as an individual, have to fight for my own design with this big corporation. And I just find that, oh, that is very expensive. Patents are also itself very, very expensive. It needs to be renewed. So for that reason, no.
And I see a question here from Joe asking, do you present multiple options to clients?
So depending on, I think Joe, probably Joe is a designer, I'm assuming. These are all very design related questions. Depending on how much budget the client has. So if they are a big corporation with a very healthy budget, then I will give them up to 3. When it's something that's completely new, like, oh, we're launching a new line of products, we want to see we have this big budget for you to play around, and I will give them 3 designs. But let's say it's a rebrand. We have this current design that we want to keep somewhat the same. And then even if they have a big budget, I would not give them 3 designs because you want to keep something that's somewhat similar, and having 3 designs just doesn't seem reasonable. By the 3rd design, you're probably all the way out somewhere else that it doesn't look like the original brand already. So I'll probably just do 2. And when some clients, their budget is so small, I would tell them upfront, okay, we will probably just do 1 concept for you, and we will make sure that we understand each other very well, so that when I show you the design, it doesn't come as a surprise.
Deanna, did you have something you wanted to share with Andrew as we close out today?
Do you design any other cards, Andrew, or?
Yeah, I have done other pop-up cards as well. I can show you guys another that I'm working on right now. So my mom requested a Mother's Day card, and because after she saw what I did, she was like, okay, where is mine? So I'm still in the process of doing it, but I'm trying to make a pop-up card that is of a butterfly. So
cool.
I played around with cutouts, and this card doesn't pop up yet because I took it apart, but you can kind of see these are the ugly prototypes that I'm working with. I need to figure out the mechanisms first. Yeah, so I do sometimes